Okay, let's look at this fraction. We've got a function, and when you start looking at domain and range, keep this in mind. The domain's easier than the range. With a domain, it really only works with fractions. Right? You only got to worry about a fraction. And you look at the denominator, the bottom of the fraction, and you say to yourself, well, the bottom of that fraction cannot be 0. Okay, so whatever's on the bottom of a fraction, the whole thing, can't be 0. That's one thing you think of. The next thing you might think of is, well, you think of the square roots. Right? And you think of, well, inside that square root, I can't square root a negative number. So that thing inside the square root has to be bigger than or equal to 0. You can square root 0, that's all good. Right? So the square root, the thing inside, the function inside the square root can't be is bigger, that can't be negative. And if you combine both of those, if you have a function that looks something like this, the thing inside that square root, because it's on the bottom of the fraction, it can't be 0, and it has to be positive because it's inside the square root. So something like that has to be positive. So these are three main things you think of when you look at domain on a function. So if you go back to this function, you've got something like this, and you say, well, it's a fraction. I know the bottom of a fraction cannot be 0. So that whole thing, the whole bottom of that fraction, cannot be 0. Okay, if it was 1 over the square root of 2x minus 1, you'd say to yourself, well, 2x minus 1 has to be greater than 0, and you'd solve it. Okay. All right, so we'll solve this, and we get 2x, add the 1, divide by 2. Oh, sorry, I'll go straight to the answer. X cannot be a half. Right, I've just solved that and actually just did it quickly in your head. Right, so x can't be a half. So the domain of this, the domain is all real x, where x does not equal or cannot equal a half. Right, nice and easy. That's the mathy side of things. Oh, I just turned off my machine. Domain is different. Domain is range. The range is really best done when you graph that function. So if I graph that function, I know that the function has it cannot be a half, right? So that's an asymptote. And I know, because we've done functions like forever, that that sort of function is a parabola. It's parabolic. It looks like that. A quick sketch, it looks like that, regardless of what's on the top of the function or anything like that. And this is a half. That's a half. So you look at that and you say, right, what can't this be on the y-axis? What y value does not correspond with a point on the function, a point on the graph? Right? Now, obviously, that goes on forever there. Saves up the top there. This is the only the y-axis, that x-axis, sorry, is the only point that the graph will never touch and has no corresponding value on the function. So the range is everything except that x-axis. So the range is all real y, but y cannot equal 0. Okay, which that's y equals 0 is the x-axis. Okay, so recap, domain is really about fractions and this, right, or square roots. Really, fractions and square roots is all you got to really worry about. Work it out mathematically. The range you can really only do by graphing it quickly. Anyway, hope that helps you guys. Good luck.